You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well. The Father's hell did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the ones they picked, the ones you'll know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh. And you of tender years can't know the fears that your elders grew by. So please help them with their youth. They see the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well. Children's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the ones they picked, the ones you'll know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh.
Welcome, everyone. Kind of a unique and mysterious way, especially for me, the old Luddite, to welcome the whole Lagom Landing gang in.
But we're glad you're here.
We are glad you're here, even if we don't quite right now know who is here, but we trust who is here is meant to be here. It was interesting. Bobby and a couple of the Einsteins came and played on our back porch last Saturday, and it just struck me. I was really sad that the way we generally celebrate our pig roast isn't going to happen. And it took me a little bit of time, I think, to shift gears into that doesn't mean a wonderful celebration of this year can't happen. But so I guess I would just welcome you in spirit and invite you to really celebrate the unique class of 2019-2020. And we're going to share with you a little bit about what makes them so unique. So fasten your seatbelts, as our dear friend I can't remember, the guy for the Bills, he would always say that. Fasten your seatbelts.
Here we go.
Today, me and Betty are going to take you through an exercise about centering yourself and being present. The exercise that I'm going to show you is called Ujjayi breath. It's a sound breathing. I invite you to do this, but no pressure. When we do this, the main reason why I started doing this and started working with Betty was just to recenter myself, to refocus myself, and to really work on like being present to what was around me. One of the ways that I actually use this breathing is when I'm about to use the table saw, and the waves start going a little harder, and you're like, okay. And so you recenter yourself, you get back on board, you go back out to sea, And so this is the breathing that I usually do before and after I use the table saw, or really any machinery and stuff. So I invite you to do it with me. It's called Ujjayi breathing. Now, when I like to do this, I like to, get a comfy space. You don't have to be sitting. You can be standing. I like to get comfy. And I put my hands over my chest like this. This is just a visual thing for me. You don't have to do it. Now, when we do this, the best way it was described to me was through Betty. And she said that it's like sounding almost like Darth Vader when you breathe in and you breathe out. Betty's going to do it right next to me too. So we'll both be doing it. So feel free to join in. Now when we do this, I put my hands here, and we're gonna breathe in, and we usually breathe in while making the sound and breathe out while making the sound. You ready? All right, here we go. Breathe in. Again. And while doing this, the main reason is it centers you. It helps you with the flow. And so I invite you to do it a couple more times on your own. All right. When you're ready, I will take it up. Betty, it's all you.
Okay, thanks, Natalie. Yeah, so I'm Betty Reinhart. I'm also one of the Lagom Landing board members here, and I got to know Natalie for a couple different reasons, but more recently, she and I had an opportunity to do some yoga and mindfulness breathing together, and I really love the way she's really figured out how to use it to help her, at Lagom Landing, and I understand in other places too. So I'm honored to be a part of this. And when we talked, we decided we'd show you one more practice that she felt really helped center her. Besides doing yoga, and we're not going to do yoga postures right now, but one more breathing exercise is similar but different. So again, you just kind of sit and get comfortable and really start to feel your body now. Maybe just notice where you're being supported, whether you're sitting or standing. And this breathing pose could actually be doing sitting or standing, eyes open or eyes closed. I'm doing it sitting. And once again, you bring your hands, this time, if you want to do it with me, your pinkies and your thumbs together. So your hands are right in front of your heart. And this is called lotus breath because what we're doing is, it's almost like we've got this lotus in front of our heart. And it's a symbolism of how when we take that moment to really breathe into our true selves, it makes it easier to face anything. So on an inhale, we're going to reach our arms up overhead and stretch them as far as comfortable. And then as you exhale and breathe out, your arms go down and around. And then bring them back together again in front of your heart. So you're inhaling into that beauty inside of you, and then you're exhaling to send it out. So let's do that 2 more times. So take a nice breath in as you stretch up your lotus flower up overhead and breathe out. And 1 more time, breathe in to that beauty inside of you and breathe out, expressing it all around you. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, Natalie. It's great to work with you this year, and congratulations on your graduation. So happy for you.
Thank you for working with me, and thank you for sharing this gift with everyone. It's a good day.
Here at Lagom Landing, we have fairly stringent entrance requirements.
You have to be over 18.
Yep, over 18, and you have to be willing. And that willingness, ironically, is quite a requirement. because the different challenges that this program offers, I think are particularly challenging for young adults today who live so much of their life in virtuality, and then the movement from the virtual and the ideal into the real can oftentimes, I think, bring them right to their max. This year we started out with 5 kids and ended up with 3. And we're learning that that challenge of continuing to be willing to push yourself physically, to look at yourself personal growth wise, to challenge yourself socially, and really challenge the fears that are unique to each of us as individuals is quite a hurdle to overcome. So we're no longer surprised when we lose a student or two.
So we just thought we would talk a little bit as we introduce each of the students about the ways that we've seen them illustrate willingness. So about a year and a couple months ago, we had a few people from the Walden Project visit Lagom Landing for our Maple Day. And we had our very first opportunity to meet John and his fiancee Vic, and right away knew that they were very unique people. And we had a little bit more time with them over the summer and got to live with them and learn a little bit more about their lives and what they've been through. And we're just really, really humbled and delighted to be able to know them as people and to get to see them grow. So we've seen a little bit of Vic, but a lot more of John. He moved in here in September, and we just think the world about John. We're so grateful for the ways that he's added to our program this year, in ways that each year we get new gifts from each student, and John has brought so much artistic talent, so much willingness to try all kinds of new things, and his willingness to jump into any activity, even though he might be feeling very timid and tired, has just continued to lift our spirits and make us laugh. And we've had some awesome laughs with John too. He has a great sense of humor.
John, we often refer to him as our Phoenix. We have many wonderful nicknames for John, not all of which are G or PG rated from his wild past. But lately, the nickname that has settled on him is Cubby. And I could come up with example after example of what Laurel was talking about. But I think the way John is so willing to challenge fear has been a witness to me of what real courage looks like. I often say there is no one more courageous than a brave chicken, and John is the bravest of the brave. One example that quickly comes to mind is John and Noah and Natalie took a volunteer trip to Florida with Livingston Cares right at the beginning of our second semester. And John has really lived a fairly protected life, or he hasn't been able to have some of the same privilege of travel that many of us have had and many of our students. So when all of a sudden he is presented with this opportunity to go to Florida, I mean, flying on a plane, a bunch of strangers, a lot of, is this
brand new things?
Yeah, is this safe? Kind of questions, I think, popped up. But before you knew it, John had signed up, filled out all that was required from the college, and ended up really putting in a solid week and becoming somewhat of a hit amongst the Geneseo College kids and some of the adults down there. But John got his nickname, Cubby, from a recent trip that we were very fortunate to take to Kentucky. And I'm going to turn it over to Laurel to share how that nickname might have been given to him and the way he tackled some fear down there.
So we went to the Red River Gorge, which is just an amazing geologic wonder and has some of the most incredible flora that you can imagine. And so we were climbing up some rocks multiple times during the trip.
I refer to it as black diamond hiking, and when Rocky says black diamond, he means it.
So he had to use, the first day, he made it about halfway up a rock that required a rope to hold him as he went up. And had to get down, but he did a great job just getting that far. And so we kind of said, well, there isn't going to be any more rope climbing the rest of the trip. And we made that promise. But lo and behold, that afternoon, I believe it was, we went on another hike and ended up having to descend on
about 50 feet.
About 50 feet on a very through a steep crevice on a rope. And he did it. There wasn't really much other choice, but he did it very, very skillfully and with some great coaching from Noah. And he has this ability to use his knees getting down. He's a little more short of stature than the rest of us, and he just found a way to kind of carefully get his way down the edge of the rock. So we're very grateful for Cubby, and we're really going to miss him. And now you can hear from John, or Cubby.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to, watching our graduation video. Thank you, Rock, Laurel, friends, family, supporters of Lagom Landing. Let's get into it. So, I never thought that I would get this far, both in Lagom Landing and in my life in general. I've been surprising myself this whole year, and I can honestly say that I'm proud of myself for the first time in a while. I'll share with you a few times I'm still rather proud of. In the beginning of the year, I worked at All Western Evergreen Tree Farm, which is a Christmas tree farm, where I worked as a wholesale season worker with two other Lagom Landing students, Kern and Noah. In the beginning, I thought that I would be too weak and be too useless on the job because we're hauling these big Christmas trees and we're baling them. And I will admit I did need help moving them, but I would imagine the average person would need help moving trees. But when I could, I did get I was put into a job that fit me quite well, and I have to thank my bosses for that, and for everybody else being so accommodating. And I learned that I wasn't useless, even with a job that required something that I'm not very good at with strength. I just needed to apply myself differently, and I'm proud of getting through the wholesale season there. Another event that I'm very proud of is the Florida mission trip that me, Noah, and Nat went on in late January. It was a volunteer mission to help rebuild homes from Hurricane Irma. And I wanted to go from the first time that we were offered this trip, but I was extremely nervous because outside of Nat and Noah, I didn't know anybody. I would be going to a state that I've never been in before, and I would be riding on an airplane, which I had also never done before. So it was all around a very new and nerve-wracking experience. But once I was down there, once I was convinced to even go down there, and once I was actually down there, I realized that it was the right decision. I really enjoyed the people that I met and worked with down there. I'm very happy with how much work and help we were able to provide while down there. And Florida is honestly pretty nice. I mean, the heat kind of kicked my butt, but that's what I get for not owning shorts. sometimes you gotta take a risk, even if looking back on it, that one wasn't very much of a risk. And my last and final moment or event of pride is very recent. Lagom Landing went on a Kentucky trip where we did a lot of very adventurous hiking. There's this one hike in particular that sticks out to me the most. We had taken a very detoured path to an area that we were trying to get to, and on this detour, we came across this one area that most of the others thought that I couldn't get up because it had very few footholds. It was mostly just rooty soil. And I'm not very experienced with climbing and hiking in adventurous areas, but it was kind of vertical to me, at least. But I made it up there, which was very prideful for myself. And then we turn a corner, and right there is an even more vertical, even more adventurous climb down, to the point where you need a rope to get down. Thankfully there was one there. And I'm very scared of heights. I am not very strong physically, and I'm very short. So this was definitely a trial, but with the help of Rock and Noah coaching me down for the entire way, I made it to the bottom, and after I was a bit more stable, more calm, I was actually really proud of myself, and looking around, I was in one of the most beautiful areas that I'd ever seen. Also how I earned the nickname Cubby, because Rock was very insistent that I look like a bear cub. And I'm proud of myself for that. That I have that sense of adventure that I thought was long dead. And that I can do things like that. I actually can do things like that. And I tend to only take pride in what I can create with my hands or what I can write. But Lagom Landing has taught me that I can take pride in my actions and in myself. And I hope to continue to experience that sort of pride. From Kentucky to Florida to New York, I have had a pretty big adventure this year. And I think I'm quite ready for another one.
Next up we have Noah. I refer to him as my nephew. He is the son of my first cousin Jen and her husband Ed, from Burlington, Vermont. So Noah and I have quite a history together, and this year has truly only added to it. It's been a joy to have Noah here, and the way I see Noah express willingness is really in his physicality. He's a wonderful attribute on the job site. Powerful, very coordinated, and just so able to utilize his body. And he's been kind of the real horsepower behind an excellent crew. John and Natalie and Noah are, they are just always find their flow, and really enjoy, I think, producing. And Noah is, like I say, he's the motor behind that.
Noah also loves to get us all doing something athletic. So he couldn't be happier than when we go out there and throw the baseball around. And just yesterday he was training John on how to do some floor hockey and skate around in some inline skates. He loves to be able to use his body, be out there and competing. When we were in Kentucky, he played 3.5 hours of volleyball with all his distant cousins, and he had a blast doing it. He's just full of a great deal of energy in life, and but he also, this year, I think that Noah really delved into a lot of work that he had previously done through some really good work with his parents and other helpers in the past, but really grew in his ability to recognize what's motivating him to go into some dark places, and really how to fight that. And so he worked really hard at that, and it was inspiring to see him working on that all year long, and also just the energy that he brings into our community through his love of sports and moving his body.
Yeah, and I think just one of the interesting things about Lagom Landing is some of the backgrounds that are oftentimes part of the tapestry of where our kids come from can be really challenging. It's interesting how many kids that come to us just that happen to be adopted. And I think at times kind of that the mystery and the whole process of moving, the questions that surround adoption can lead to, I think, some dark energy, and that we don't mind dark energy. It's just let's explore it. Let's bring it out on the table. And like Laurel said, it's been really I just have so much respect for the way Noah has shown up in that area as well, and especially how I see anger no longer having to be the manipulating force behind him. He's gotten perspective on kind of that force in his life, and it's been really powerful to see. So overall, we couldn't be more grateful to have Noah with us, and we'll give him a chance to share his story with you guys and what this year's been like for him.
What is family to you? Is it a brother or a sister? A mom or dad? Is it an aunt or an uncle, a cousin? Or is it your grandparents? Well, for me, it's all the above. It is all that and even more. It's a friendship that I can really put a lot into, somebody I can trust. This year at Lagom, I made many different friends. There's Natalie, who plays the part of the annoying sister that I want to smack upside the head half the time. And then there's John, who is my transgender brother, who's taught me more about Christ this year than anybody I've ever known. And then there's also Rock and Laurel. Rock, who is my daddy, and who made me, he really worked with me this year on carpentry and building things, and working on that I'm really not the stupid kid many people thought I was in high school and middle school. And then Laurel, she's just great. She's there to keep me and Rock both in check. I just wanted to take a quick opportunity just to say thank you to my parents, Rock and Laurel, and everybody else for, allowing me to go to Lagom this year and really learn a lot about myself, A bunch of growth has happened. I'm not the same boy I came to when I was at Lagom. They talk about manhood and what it means to become a man. I think I've gotten a glimpse of that here. There's a certain point in your life where you have to throw away childish things and realize that for you to enter into the big world, it's like entering a lion's den. You can't be the size of a kitten. Anyway, we built a shed to start the year for a man named Bob Babcock. It was about a 20 by 20 shed. And I remember putting on the roof, and I have a fear of heights. And that might have been the scariest thing that I've done so far in my life. I was shaking up there, but it really taught me that, fear is something that you can endure. It is something that is going to happen, but you have to let it go through you and come out the other end. You got to just let it go. That's the only way to control it. And as for my classmates, they've taught me a lot about myself. I often say some things that I don't really notice, but comes across a certain way to other people. And it's really taught me to be very mindful of what I say with different people. We went to Florida this year in early January, and I kind of acted like a little bit of a jerk on the trip, and I learned from that experience that it takes a moment to ruin a friendship, and it takes more than a moment. It takes a long time to really make amends and work on that friendship to build that bridge. And friendship is a fragile thing. I think friendship is a very valuable. It's kind of like glass. It's something, if you drop it or you're not careful with it, it's gonna shatter. But the great thing about friendship is it's not glass. It can be remade. I think another thing that I've really learned about myself this year is true toughness is not puffing out your chest and saying, I'm this big man, being that cis male kind of energy, It's really when you let out your emotions to people you trust and are allowing a community to help build whatever you're facing and face it with you. I think John and Natalie, Rock and Laurel, they've all done a good job of that this year. I also think that I've really tried, to respond that way, and just, kind of, really try to help people out, and, yeah, it's just, I know they all love me, and I hope, that, whether I'm all the way down in Burlington, Vermont, or across the country, it doesn't matter where I am, I'll love them pretty much for all time, because, there's relationships you're made that, when you're living with people, you learn a lot about them, the good and the bad parts, and that's really what builds a true family.
And finally, we come to the mighty Nats, Natalie. She is our wild child, and there's very few people I've ever met in my life that are more wild than Natalie. And it's been not only a joy, but I would say a witness to me, who's pretty wild myself, to be in the presence of I think such unbridled energy. That's probably the best way to put it.
One of my first memories of Natalie is we went to Stony Brook, to the state park, to have a picnic, and she just disappeared for a little while, and she just found herself down by the creek and was just exploring, looking at everything. She did the same thing on another hike that week. She just has this amazing energy, especially when she's in nature, just kind of taking it all in and being a part of it and wanting to eat everything as well.
And one of the interesting things about having Natalie live in your basement is, especially in the evening, you're likely to hear these wild chortles. She'll get a video on and she will get laughing. I remember when I was like 8 years old, at 7:30 on Saturday mornings, I would go down and watch the Three Stooges, and I would laugh hilariously. And I think my little 8-year-old self is down there. It just brings such joy to hear Natalie's unbridled laughter coming up from that basement. But Natalie, she too has really exemplified willingness in so many different ways. She is our first student to experience a serious injury, a very severe cut on her thumb that required surgery from the table saw. And it's a dangerous program, and we're very blessed that that's the first injury that's really sent anybody to the hospital. But Laurel and I had a lot of questions about, would she be able to bounce back from this? Would she want to? Would we have to kind of maybe re-engineer the program around some new fears that obviously would be part of experiencing an injury like that. But man,
as she already shared with her work with Betty.
Yeah, she's bounced back from that with, I just think, a new mindfulness, and she took, what I think could really have been, knock her off the rails and maybe even knock her out of the program, if she didn't want to return, and turn that into an opportunity to focus in new ways, to really be mindful, not just in the shop or at work, but I saw a whole new capacity for concentration.
The other thing about Natalie is she's always checking in with you. She has a real read on the room, and she'll find a way to check in with everybody, see how everybody's doing, and to really try to, if she can, bring the mood of the room up. So she's taught me a lot about lightening up and lightening the load. And she'll just send a text randomly, just saying, "Hey, how's your weekend going?" or "How are you doing?" or and I think that might be the first time we've had a student who just very consistently and conscientiously checks in, and it's a great quality of Natalie as well.
And I think, as Laurel's husband, it's really cool to have a student who we're often so, I think, male energy oriented, to have that real care and wonder when Laurel's out in a meeting, she'll be like, "I wonder how Laurel's doing," and she will like, "Hey, let's wait for dinner." She's just very, very. She's thoughtful to each and every one of us, but the way she had a heart for Laurel this year, it just really meant a lot to me as Laurel's partner in crime in this adventure.
So on that note, we give you Natalie and all her wild energy and all she has to say about her year.
Lagom Landing has been quite the learning experience for me. Man, have I learned some crazy things about myself, about other people, about the world. I'm very fortunate for this opportunity, so thank you to everyone who helped me get here. Friends, family, everyone in between. I could not have done this on my own. The support and love got me here, so through that, I say thank you. One of the greatest pieces of advice here at Lagom, since this is a school type thing, is life on life's terms. Brock and Laurel are constantly telling us, if when something happens, it's life on life's terms. You got to meet it halfway at least. So that's been what Lagom's been about, through people leaving, through injury, and just through challenging myself, through being challenged from people around me, through challenging others around me. It has been life-changing. I've learned so much about myself, and I'm ready to grow more. The seeds have definitely started here at Lagom, but they're not done, I'm excited for the world. I'm ready for it, and I couldn't have done it without Lagom. So thank you for that. One of the main things that I think that I'm going to take with me through Lagom is compassion. It's not just loving yourself, but it's loving people, and it's loving humanity. All the parts that make us, what people feel like make us ugly or make us flawed, and it's just another form of beauty. It's who we are, and it's okay to be flawed and such. Like, that's okay. That's part of beauty, and that's okay to love. So as I go out into the world, something that I hope to spread through Lagom, the seeds I've started here, is compassion. Another thing that I've learned here is adventure. Man, have we had some crazy adventures through Stony Brook, through Letchworth, through Kentucky, through Florida, through just in Lagom Landing have we made quite the adventure. And through these adventures, I've learned so much about myself. One of the things I've learned is that I can be tough, man. I can almost chop my entire thumb off in the table saw, and then come back to work. When I come back to work, I can go back to using it, Or I can work out, and something else I've learned about myself is how much of a baby I can be. I can work out in the garden for about an hour and feel like I'm melting.
And I realized, and the main thing that I realized here at Lagom was that I can choose who I want to be. I can choose to be tough, or I can choose to be that baby. And before Lagom, I guess I really just chose to wimp out on a couple of things. Smile here, smile there, fine, call it a day. But the thing that really got me going in Lagom was just the experience of life, the flow, and that's something I don't think I'll ever forget. So, I'm very fortunate to be here. So, thank you for everyone who got me here, everyone who pushed me to continue through this, through my challenges, my hardships, and thank you for the people at Lagom for making me who I am. Laurel, aka Mother Duck, Rock, Sergeant, Noah, hey bud, and John, hey bud.
If I could choose the way I was to die, if I could choose the way I was to die, I would go falling through this warm spring sky. I would go falling through this warm spring sky, with ribbons and bows tied to my hands and my feet, with ribbons and bows tied to my hands and my feet. I'd skip across this world and I would feel complete. I'd skip across this world and I would feel complete. All of my friends would be with me one last time. All of my friends would be with me one last time, singing and playing, and we would feel so fine. Singing and playing, and we would feel so fine. If I could choose the way I was to die, if I could choose the way I was to die, I would go falling through this warm spring sky. I would go falling through this warm spring sky, with ribbons hands and my feet. With ribbons and bows tied to my hands and my feet. I'd skip across this world and I would feel dumb.
Noah, congratulations. We have seen a lot of growth in this past year, especially in communications. Even for those calls that have been really tough, you've been able to stay with it and get through them. Now, you've done a little bit of spending in the fall on things that probably weren't that necessary, but you've turned that around too, and you've done a great job saving through the spring. We are so proud of you, and we want you to know that we are always going to be here for you in the future. We love you very much.
One big improvement you have achieved is being able to accept me for who I am and my autism by including me in one of your episodes of Morning Watch in letting me speak about autism instead of being embarrassed by it. This shows me that you really love me and care about me as a unique individual with unique gifts.
No, we're so proud of you and your perseverance to make it through to the end of Lagom, and we know you went through some challenging times, but worked your way through it and came through shining bright. We've seen much growth with you in the past year and are anxious to see you apply some of your construction skills here at home. One of the biggest areas that we've seen growth now is in your self-awareness. It was interesting to see you in November come home excited about the Enneagrams and learning of the 9 different personality types based on your motivations, your strengths, your weaknesses. And it was also great to hear you talk about recognizing that we're all different and that you're more accepting and inclusive of others that may be different from you or your style. We're grateful for the life experiences you had at Lagom, and we're excited to see what lies ahead in your future that is bright. We're anxious to see what God has planned for you in your next endeavor. We love you, and we will always be here if you need us. And to the whole Cohort 8, we'd like to say our congratulations from the Townley family and know that you have much to be proud of.
Natalie, John, and Noah. What a wonderful time you've all had this past year with 2 incredible, passionate leaders, Rock and Laurel. I would like to thank you both for your patience, guidance, and wisdom in sharing the Lagom experience with Natalie. I'll admit that I was a bit hesitant at first at the idea, but now truly believe it was the right step for her after high school. Who knows? You may have another Maar in a few years. However, they don't share the same genes. There are so many memorable experiences, as well as a few I'm sure you'd rather forget, me included. Right, Nat? Our communication was hit or miss, but I did enjoy hearing stories as we would travel back and forth in the car when you would come home for weekends. That was before the pandemic. You overcame the challenges of living with others and grew in your effective skills of decision-making and reasoning. Quick story that I will share is when we went to get your permit this past winter. We were at a family restaurant for breakfast afterwards, and you quickly spotted the shoddy carpentry in the wainscoting as it came up and met the chair rail. It gapped just a little, and you really hated yourself for seeing that. You now have an appreciation in quality work, as well as a few other handy skills of the trade. This year helped you adult and build on the strong foundation you have with serving others. I want to share a few words from Laurel that she included in the first newsletter of the year as she quickly captured the essence of Natalie. In your next endeavor, I know you will bring with you the same contagious enthusiasm, energy, and encouragement as you brought to Lagom Landing. I know you will also continue to keep any group laughing with your spirited zest for life. Good luck, Natalie, and I just want to leave you with these final words.
The bills make me
Go Bills! Go Bills!
Hi, Natalie. You are one remarkable person. Everywhere you go, people love you, and I know that extends to Lagom Landing. I know it's been a long year, sometimes a rough year. You've at times come home and said, I'm not going back. But you have overcome whatever obstacles there were to get through this part of your life's journey. And I am proud of you for persevering in this mission of yours. You have grown as a person. You've done so much this year. You didn't let anything that happened this year stop you, including the incident with the table saw in your thumb. You learned how to manage things. You've taken on some financial responsibility. You have done awesome woodworking projects, including your cabinet that you'll be bringing home that will look beautiful in your bedroom. So you've really gotten some great skills. You have worked with people. You have worked for people. But this year really has been about you. You have now been working on training to become a volunteer in the suicide hotline, and I commend you for that. You have come so far in setting some goals for yourself and seeing them through. And I know this is just one chapter in your life, but this isn't the end of everything. This is just the beginning, and Lagom has helped prepare you for that. And I can't wait to see what the next chapter brings for you. I love you.
So this year was a bit different for us. Quite a long time, almost our entire relationship, we've been together a majority of the time, and, well, that's just how we are. That suits us very well. But this year, we had to do something different. You being up at Lagom made it so that we couldn't be together every moment of every day. Even if we're only 15 minutes apart, we still have to be apart. And with all different things, that makes change happen. And you have changed a lot this year, and being apart almost every day made it so that I could notice those changes a lot more than I have in the past. And I'm really proud of you. I'm ridiculously proud of you. You've done amazing this year. I've seen you do things that you never thought you could do. I've seen you make new friends. I've seen you learn new skills that are going to help us in the future that you even liked. You told me you liked them many times. You came to me excited about doing a whole day of work. That's something that I've never seen you do before. But this year you did. And that made me really happy. And every time you learned a new skill and told me, every single time you came to me telling me, I did this, I did that, I learned how to lay out this, I learned how to do some weird construction thing that I don't understand. But every single time I grew more and more proud because I could see you growing. I could see each new part of you taking hold and getting bigger and better. And I'm really proud. I can't say so in a minute-long video, but I think you know how proud I am. And I'm really glad that you did this. There's lots of times you could have quit. I told you you could have quit. I told you you could always have a room with me. But you stuck it out. You did what you had to do. And you learned tons of new things. And for that, I'm really super proud.
down south to the land of the pines, stubbing my way down to North Carolina, staring at the road and praying to God I see headlights. Well, I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers, and I hope from her eye I can see my baby tonight. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Yeah, rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. From the cold up in New England, I was born to be a fiddler in an old-time string band. My baby plays the guitar, I kick the banjo now. Those North Country winters keep a-getting me down. I lost my money playing poker, so I had to walk the lead. But I ain't a-turning back to living that old life no more. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. And rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. To the south, out of Roanoke, I caught a trucker out of Philly, had a nice long toque. He's a-heading west to the Cumberland Gap, to Johnson City, Tennessee. And I gotta get a move on, favor the sun. I hear a lady calling my name, and I know that she's the only one. And if I die in Raleigh, at least I will die free. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. And rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, hey, mama, rock me.
Good afternoon, everyone, wherever you may be, and welcome to this unusual ceremony to conclude Lagom Landing's 8th successful cohort year. My name is Bob Insull, and I'm a retired psychologist from Up Rochester Way. I'm the second most recent addition to the Lagom board, having taken my seat in the spring of 2019. I first found out about Lagom Landing in a very hands-on way. Back in 2015, when needing to deliver a large exhibition piece for a dinner where Lagom was being honored for their work, I was wondering how I might haul and assemble the rather bulky pieces when Rock, noticing my plight, quickly had a group of strong young folks at my disposal. And at the end of the evening, this same group reappeared to reverse the process. I was impressed then that such immediate, competent, and take-charge help should arrive unbidden, even in the context of a faith-based event. And I stayed interested, following Lagom online, making donations, attending an event now and then, until 2018, when I decided to become more active. I got the opportunity to watch cohort number 6 develop over that year from somewhat awkward, unself-confident young adults to a cohesive, task-oriented, and self-aware group. What most impressed me then, and still, is the way in which working the program with all of its parts, the self-investigation and discovery, the practical skill building, the discovery of the unknown, and the interpersonal development that comes from living together in close proximity, all under the excellent tutelage of Laurel and Rock and the others who help out year after year, results in significant changes in each individual. But most telling, at least to my psychology, is the fact that our people leave us every year fully aware in themselves of these changes. Such awareness bodes well for the durability of the changes. And you don't always find that in development programs. As these folks return home or move on to new experiences in new lives that just a year ago they could hardly imagine, they do so recognizing their own strengths and weaknesses. So if you know of anyone who might benefit from such an experience, send them to us. I'm sure that Noah, Natalie, and John would be happy to share their stories with them at any time. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob, for giving us a little clearer picture of what we do and, just the gift of support that we get from our board is amazing. We always read Tattoos on the Heart by Father G every year. We finished with a chapter called Kinship. And I think sometimes Father G describes more clearly what we do than what Laurel or I could even put into words. So I'm going to read just a paragraph and a half from this final chapter in his book. And like I say, it's what we hope Lagom Landing and the Lagom Landing community really strives for and maybe accomplishes to a degree. The wrong idea has taken root in the world. And the idea is this: there just might be lives out there that matter less than other lives. The prophet Jeremiah writes, "In this place of which you say it is a waste, there will be heard again the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voices of those who sing." To that end, we choose to become, quote, enlightened witnesses, people who through their kindness, tenderness, and focused, attentive love return folks to themselves. It is a returning, not a measuring up. We don't hold the bar up and ask people to measure up to it. One simply shows up and commits to telling the truth. At Lagom Landing, we seek to tell each person this truth. They are exactly what God had in mind when God made them. And then we watch, from this privileged place, as people inhabit it. Nothing is the same again, but much stands in the way of this liberating truth. You need to dismantle shame and disgrace, coaxing out the truth in people who've grown comfortable believing its opposite. So what we want to say is thanks for the way the web of community steps up to the ball. This is our primary mission, to really, I think, through a hands-on approach, allow people to live their way into a different way of thinking. Through life, through seeking life, coming to believe in who they are. And all of you are such a big part of it. So here's some thanks that we want to shout out specifically. I'll start with the homeowners throughout the year who provide the workshops for us to practice our craft. Special shout this year to Anna and Andy over in West Bloomfield. 3 for 3 working on your kitchen was a highlight for all the students and for myself as well. So thank you to you guys.
And in that blurb that Rock just read, Father G was writing about coaxing out the truth in all of us. And I have not found a better tool than the Enneagram to do that.
Amen.
And nor have we ever found a better guide in using that tool than Holly Hewer, who has walked with us every month and taught us more about ourselves. And if you haven't looked into the Enneagram, I urge you to, because it's just a very powerful spiritual tool and personal growth tool.
I want to say a thanks to Bobby and the Einsteins for rocking it out on the back porch the other day, and just so many memories over the years. So you guys show up every year with your humble but
even
very
in
talented
COVID.
selves. Yeah. But thank you we had our own personal concert. I think we opened up with how much it meant to us. So thank you.
And I also want to say thanks so much to Shane and to Camp Whitman for helping us to get this event online. What a great gift to not know what I was doing, to all of a sudden Shane saying, I'll take care of it. And within a week he did. So thank you, Shane. We couldn't have done it without you. Also, thank you to all our parents who have walked alongside their students and also gathered with all of our students and learned, been open to what they all have to teach them as well. And the learning continues in all of us. I want to also thank the donors that show up every year at Rock the Day and throughout the year. We have monthly donors as well. And if you'd like to donate, we do have a link that will show up here in a second. And we would appreciate it. It's very, very great to be able to invest in this next generation. And they're definitely worth it, as you can see from this video.
I want to say thanks to several churches throughout the Genesee Valley that have supported us in so many ways. Financially, practically. Thank you to our home church, WBCC, and our pastor, Corey Keys, who keeps Laurel and I grounded and semi-sane, which is the best I'll ever hope to get to. So thanks to Corey and the whole church community there. But we're just overwhelmed with gratitude.
And a final thanks comes from our little piggy, Sam Harper, who's grateful to still be alive. And though we will not be gathering in person this year, we're really grateful for you sharing this time with us, and wish you health and blessings, and that you might go, as our church teaches, go be peace in the world. Thank you.
Peace. So, in that ocean of gratitude, I'd just like to close us with prayer. Let's join our hearts together. We've got a lot to pray for and a lot to be grateful for. So, Creator, your energy flows through us constantly, flows around us. And it's been a year of, I think, all of us having our eyes opened more deeply to that flow. The ways in which creativity is just such a part of that process. The way moving our bodies are part of that, and the way sharing our spirits, becoming a real community are part of that flow. And I thank you for the support that makes that whole process possible. The giving of time, the giving of energy, the giving of skill, the giving of money, tremendous mentorship. Lord, we are grateful people. And I think of the going forth. These kids are going forth in a time that is unique, certainly in our modern history, unique in the fact that it's uncertain what's out there. So we lift up that sea of uncertainty, and we trust. We trust that underneath it all, there is goodness, there's love, there's an anchor, and we pray that Lagom Landing and the big network of love that holds us up will be part of that anchor. And we lift up all of our loved ones in this time and just pray for safety, security, and trust to flow into them as well. So for this year, and especially for dear John, mighty Noah, and the wild gnats, we give special thanks, for they have touched our lives, and we will truly never be the same. So hallelujah, amen.
Amen. And as they say in our church, it's not enough just to go go in peace. We must go be peace. So let us go be peace, even though we won't be enjoying a bunch of big plates of pork together. Let us go be peace in our world, and we wish you a wonderful day. And join us on Zoom if you'd like to for a reception afterwards. Great hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
If my words could glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on the harp unstrung, would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as it were your own? It's a hand-me-down. The thoughts are broken. Perhaps they're better left unsung. I don't know. Don't really care. Let there be songs to fill the air. Ripple in still water, where there is no pebble tossed, nor wind to blow. Reach out your hand, if your cup be empty, if your cup is full, may it be again, let it be known. There is a fountain that was not made by the hands of man. There is a road, no simple highway between the dawn and the dark of night. And if you go, no one may follow. That path is for your steps alone. Ripple in still water, where there is no pebble tossed, nor wind to blow. You who choose to lead must follow, but if you fall, you fall alone. If you should stand, then who's to guide you? If I knew the way, I would take you home. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da da.